We're publishing a new book, Two Paths, Orthodoxy and Catholicism by Michael Whelton, Roman Catholic Claims of Papal Supremacy in the Light of Orthodox Christian Teaching. In this video, I just wanted to introduce the book a little bit and talk about the process of publishing and why we published this book, etc. So stay tuned. Two Paths by Michael Whelton, originally Papal Monarchy Collegial Tradition, was originally published in 1998 by Regina Orthodox Press. It soon went out of print. This is the, I think from the original printing in 98. It's been out of print ever since. As I was looking for the next book for Protecting Veil to publish, Two Paths came to mind. I thought about it a number of times, and I found that online over and over again I would come across references to it. I knew it was a good book, and people would refer to it and lament that the book was no longer in publication. That is unfortunately the case with many wonderful Orthodox books. If for those unfamiliar, it recounts the process, kind of intellectual and spiritual journey of Michael Whelton from Catholicism to Orthodoxy. And in that process, he obviously was convinced of the claims of Orthodox Christianity, and in particular that the claims that the Roman Catholics make to for the papacy and for kind of leadership in the Christian world were unfounded and unhistorical and theologically problematic and practically problematic. So it's a very helpful book, I think, so we're very happy to be republishing it. We do have this new edition, like I said. It's available now. You can find the link below the video. I did want to show you, just for the fun of it, a little bit of the process, the layout, number of things. These are all proof copies, so each time you get maybe a little bit closer, and then there are little glitches, some errors at my end and some errors at the printer's end. Obviously the color, this is the first one. This is supposed to be translucent. Did not come out that way, and they messed up the color completely. And then there were little things like on the spine, the Theotokos is too far over to the left, so we had to reorient that. There's another issue. These are little things, but the details are always what kill me. I'm afraid I'm a bit of a perfectionist. You can see there's a white line around the edge of that image, and it was supposed to be a bleed, which means that it goes all the way to the edge, and there's no white line. So we had to fix that little detail, and we got it on that one. You can see the bleed came out properly. Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about the contents of the book. I guess a good place to start is the summary on the back. So, two different paths. In the West, for about 1,000 years, the Roman Catholic Church has claimed papal supremacy over the entire Christian world. In the East, since the first centuries, the Eastern Orthodox Church has remained faithful to the Church's original conciliar vision, local churches meeting together in council. How did these two paths develop? What were the cultural, historical, and theological issues that led to their development? What are the Roman Catholic claims about the Orthodox and vice versa? In Two Paths, Michael Whelton dives deeply into Roman Catholic sources to document the development of papal supremacy by addressing issues such as St. Peter and the papacy, the ecumenical councils and the papacy, the filioque, the Gregorian Revolution and its effect on Roman Catholicism, the influence of falsified documents such as the donation of Constantine on the rise of the papacy, papal infallibility, the Council of Constance and the First Vatican Council, and then the Second Vatican Council. Whelton also uses ancient Christian sources to document the development of the Orthodox conciliar vision of the Church, from the First Council of Jerusalem in Acts 15 through the Seventh Ecumenical Council. For layman and scholar alike, Two Paths is the best and fullest work dealing with this topic from an Orthodox perspective in the English language. So that's the kind of the elevator speech, I guess, for the book. It's a little bit longer maybe than most elevator rides in the elevator. But there are a couple blurbs at the very front of the book, which I will read. One is from Metropolitan Isaiah, the Greek, the bishop of the Greek Archdiocese in Denver. And then another one from Dr. Kimberly Patton at Harvard Divinity School. So this is from Metropolitan Isaiah. Two Paths is a historical record of the Roman Catholic claim regarding papal primacy and infallibility. As a member of the Orthodox Christian Church under the Patriarchate of Constantinople, I must admit that I am truly saddened by the efforts taken by the Roman Catholic Church to cast aside the importance of history, tradition, and even the New Testament in order to sustain a teaching that has no basis in these three areas. I am disturbed because history is important to God Himself, who entered it, so that mankind might have the opportunity of knowing the Creator. I am convinced that much of the information in Two Paths is unknown to most people, Roman Catholics and Orthodox Christians alike, who may have dreamed of a reunion of the two churches, will awaken to reality when they read this book. I encourage all who believe in one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church to read Two Paths. It is not easily put aside once one begins to read it. I am truly impressed by the historical documentation that it contains. It is a must-read book. So that's Metropolitan Isaiah of Denver. And then the second blurb is from, like I said, Dr. Patton of Harvard Divinity School. Two Paths is an ardent, thorough examination of the devolution of Rome's legitimate primacy of honor in the ancient Christian Church into the ill-founded, problematic, and divisive doctrine of papal infallibility in the 19th century and its modern repercussions. Although humbly offered as the result of personal research by an ex-Catholic convert to Orthodoxy, this cogent volume nevertheless synthesizes the welter of important evidence on the issue of papal authority, and newly problematizes both the liturgical reforms of the Vatican and the current discussions of a reunion of the Western and Eastern branches of Christendom. It will surely and ought to provoke a Roman Catholic response, perhaps inaugurating a more informed discussion of the theological legitimacy of Roman claims to ecclesiastical supremacy in contradistinction to the conciliar model retained in the East. So, yeah, that's a little bit from external sources. I'm going to do another brief video after this one, going through some of the reviews of the book. One of the nice things about republishing a book is that there are already many people who have bought the book and read the book and have reviewed the book. So I think some of those are worth revisiting. And but for now, I did want to go through, I'll go through the table of contents quickly. And then if I have time, I might do another video where I go through the contents of the book, chapter by chapter. But for now, I will just read the chapters and maybe mention one or two things that that I remember in particular from my reading of the book. So the introduction is called An Insistent Call, and it documents relatively briefly Michael Whelton's and his wife's path towards Orthodoxy, their initial hesitation, and their desire to really prove that the Orthodox claims were not true, and the difficulty in leaving family and friends who are Roman Catholic, and also coming to a world in Orthodoxy that seemed very foreign to what they were used to. They are. Whelton is a sympathetic, very sympathetic to his to Roman Catholicism and to, in particular, to the family members and friends that he has who are still Roman Catholic. And so his book is it's polemical in the sense that it doesn't pull any punches, and I think it's honest, but it's also I think balanced and kind. That's one of the things that kind of distinguishes Two Paths from other books on the subject, I think. So that's the introduction, An Insistent Call. Chapter 1 is on St. Peter and the Papacy. Chapter 2 is on the 7 ecumenical councils. Chapter 3 is on the Filioque and the Schism. Chapter 4 is on the Gregorian Revolution. Chapter 5 is on the donation of Constantine, so-called, which I'll come back to in a second. Chapter 6 is Papal Infallibility is Created. Chapter 7, Papal Infallibility becomes Dogma. Chapter 8, Opposition to Papal Infallibility. And the epilogue is A Choice of Paths. All these chapters are with specific reference to the role of the Roman Catholic Pope and historically. And there are a number of things in the book that when I first read it, I was unaware of, made quite an impression on me. One of which, as I mentioned, the donation of Constantine. There were these falsified documents that were created early on. The donation of Constantine is probably, 9th, 10th century, maybe even before that. It was around the time that popes were trying to consolidate power, and in order to do that, someone thought it would be a good idea to create some fake documents. And the donation of Constantine ended up having a very powerful effect, so much so that in, I think it was the 11th century or so, maybe 12th century, based on the donation of Constantine, the Pope essentially gave the King of England, Ireland, gave Ireland to the King of England, gave him permission to go there and rule and to tax the people, and of course some of the money would go to Rome. The donation of Constantine was, this document was based on something that apparently happened with St. Constantine in the 4th century, where Pope Sylvester had come and healed him of, I think it was leprosy or something, and as a thank you, Constantine, being the worldly power, gave the Pope control over, I'm not sure if it was just the Western kind of world, but this document was created that suggested that this is what had happened, that said that this is what happened, and it was based on this document for hundreds of years. It was accepted in the West and in the East, although probably in the East they hadn't seen it, they probably just heard of it. And it was finally shown to be a forgery in, I think, the 15th century during the Renaissance. An Italian scholar showed how it was impossible that it was legitimate. And of course, by then a lot of damage had already been done. So much so that Dante, I think it was in the Divine Comedy, somewhere in there, there's a line that Whelton refers to in the book, where Dante laments St. Constantine's donation to the Pope because of all the negative things that have come from it. In particular, the essence of it being that there was this connection of worldly power that the Pope the Roman Catholic Church and the worldly power kind of were combined, and there was this great confusion, and so there's always this power struggle in the West, which we kind of see even to today, which is another story, another book, but not insignificant, not an insignificant thing at all. So that was one thing. Oh, and then the other thing that I didn't know this history behind was the First Vatican Council, which Whelton goes through and shows how quite remarkable it was in that the Pope that pushed it through. Can't recall. 27. Pope Pius IX, I guess. 18th July 1870, and that was when the Vatican Council, First Vatican Council, took place, and I think that was maybe the day that that papal infallibility was officially created. The thing that struck me was how it was done. The process was very politicized, very political, not at all according to order, very much authoritarian. There were a number of things that happened that were really scandalous, and Whelton talks about them. Again, he doesn't pull any punches. He looks at the sources, the historical sources, and he recounts what they recount. Also, it would seem that if not a majority, close to a majority of the Roman Catholic world was not on board with the idea of papal infallibility. And many of the greatest hierarchs, theologians in the West were against it. But it was Pope Pius's desire for papal infallibility to be pushed through that really kind of sealed the fate of that decision. And so many interesting things in this book that most people don't know, as Metropolitan Isaiah said. So that's Two Paths in a nutshell, I guess. Again, there's a link below to where you can buy the book at Amazon. If you know of someone that you think would be interested in this video or in the book, please send them, send the link to them. Yeah, stay tuned. I will do another video going through some of the reviews and stuff. So take care.